Welcome to my latest crochet tutorial. This tutorial is for a fingerless glove that's highlighted with pretty scrolls and arches and has a cozy ribbed cuff. Works up pretty quickly too. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm glad you're here. These are just some of my hats and gloves that I've already made tutorials for in the past, and I'll leave links to each of these videos in the description below. It's been a while since I posted a new tutorial, and I apologize to my subscribers for the long wait. The past year and a half has been pretty nutty for everybody, I suppose, me included. But now I'm back with my latest creation, and I can't wait to show it to you. So let's start with the materials you'll need for these gloves. All you'll need is a skein of 4-ounce yarn and a 5.5mm hook. Or you can use a 5.5 for the cuff and a larger size hook for the glove if you want. The stitches we'll be using are listed here. The sideways double crochet puff stitch might be new for some of you. I just found it a few months ago and love it. I'll be going over this stitch in detail when we reach that part of the pattern. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, to start our cuff, all I've done is a chain 10 because I'm going to use a stitch count of 9 for our ribbed cuff. Now you can make it as wide as you would like, but I will tell you that on this glove, I started off with a 12 stitch count on my cuff for this glove, and that's what I normally do on my cuffs, but it just looked out of proportion. And so I played around with it, and 9 seemed to work best for me. So I've chained 10, and I'm just gonna single crochet back down in these chains and hopefully get a stitch count of 9. Now, once we start the ribbing part, the first stitch and last stitch, I'm going to continue with a regular single crochet. Those center 7 stitches, are going to be single crochet back loop only. And that's what makes the cuff have its ribbed look. But for this first little part, and I don't count this as a row when I'm counting my rows, just chain 10 or however many, however wide you're making it, single crochet back down, and then we'll chain 1 and turn, and that will start our ribbed part of our cuff. Okay, I've completely lost count. I'm assuming this is 9. Okay, end of every row, chain 1 and turn. Okay, so this is just chained up 10, single crocheted back down to 9. Now we'll start counting our rows. So the way I do it, the first stitch and the last stitch will be a regular single crochet, just like a regular single crochet. These middle stitches, I'm going to do back loop only. Front loop, back loop. Put your hook in that back loop, bring it up and do your single crochet. So my middle 7 stitches will be single crochet back loop only, and that's what causes it to have that pretty stretchy and cozy ribbed cuff. Now my wrist measures 6 3/4 inches, and using this 5.5mm hook, it seems like I need to do between 28 and 30 rows. Oops. There's nothing to hold on to when it's so small. All right, I'm at the end, so my final stitch on this row and every row, first and last stitch, will be a regular single crochet. Chain 1, turn, do it again. Regular single crochet, all in the middle. We'll do the back loop only. Like I said, I'll probably do for my wrist 6 3/4, 28 to 30 rows. This would count as my first row. I would start measuring it maybe around 26. Depends on how tightly or how loose you crochet. But let's continue on with our cuff. Single crochet first and last stitch, single crochet back loop only in these middle, for me it's the middle 7. I'm going to do about 15 or 20 rows, and I'll check back in with you to show you how mine's looking. We can see how nice the ribbing is looking. And then we'll go from there, finish off our cuff, slip stitch the ends together, and then we'll start our glove. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, I wanted to show you what I've done so far. This is, I think, about 20 rows, 19 or 20 rows. It shows that there's really no right or wrong side, and we'll get to that when we're slip stitching our ends together. But wanted to show you the ribbing. Is it showing up? Yeah. So this is about 20 rows. I'm trying to crochet a little looser than normal, so I'm hoping maybe 28 will do for me. But just wanted to check in, show you how the ribbing is going. I'm going to finish off my rows, maybe 8 or 9 more rows. Then I'll check back with you. We'll join our edges together, where we'll slip stitch these short ends together, and then we'll start our glove. So finish off your cuff, and I'll see you then. Okay, I did end up doing 30 rows, which fits my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Like I said, there's no right or wrong side, whichever you choose to be your right side. I'm just going to use this one. Bring the right side ends together, and all we're going to do is slip stitch these two short edges together to make our cuff. If you did what I did, which was 9, we'll just have 9 slip stitches. You go into your first stitch here, first stitch on this side. Mine's kind of unraveled a little bit right there. And do a slip stitch. Can y'all see this? Go into the second stitch on that side, pull it through, slip stitch. We'll do this all the way across. When you get to the end on your final slip stitch, chain 1 and flip it right side out. Then we'll do a little base row, and then we'll start our glove. So slip stitch all the way across, chain 1, flip it around, and we'll go from there. See you then. Okay, here's my cuff. I flipped it around, so this is the right side after I slip stitched my edges, and this is our cuff. We'll build our glove off of this. Now this pattern, the stitch count matters. It's one of those where it's a multiple of something plus something. So for this stitch count, you'll need a multiple of 4 plus 3. So I'm going to continue on with my 5.5 millimeter hook, and I'm going to do a stitch count of 31, which is 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 31. So I'm going to do a stitch count of 31. If you're using a larger hook, you might want to drop it down to a stitch count of maybe 27, which is 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27. As long as you have that multiple of 4 plus 3, you'll be fine. And that it just applies to a couple of rows, but that's just the way it's got to be. So for this little base row, what we're going to do is single crochet around the top edge as evenly as you can to match that stitch count. So my stitch count is 31. I'm going to place 31 single crochets as evenly as I can around this top edge. And when you get to the end, just slip stitch to join to your first single crochet, chain 1, and then we'll start with row 1 of our glove. So single crochet around the top edge as evenly as you can, whatever it is your stitch count is, the multiples of 4 plus 3. Again, I'm going to do 31. So I'll see you after I finish that. Okay, here's my base row of the single crochet around the top edge. Again, I did 31. And on each row, when we get to the end of each row, we'll slip stitch to join in whatever that first stitch was, whether it's a single crochet, half double crochet, a couple times it might be a chain that we start out with multiple chains. But always slip stitch to join in your first stitch and chain 1, unless I tell you otherwise. Most of the time it's going to be chain 1. So starts out very simple. Our first row, row 1, is simply a half double crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to start out very, very easy. Simply place 1 regular half double crochet in each stitch around. Again, my stitch count is 31. Yours might be 27. Yours might be 4, something like that. Or I don't know. Mine's 31. So a half double crochet in each stitch around. When you get to the end, we're going to slip stitch to join in this first half double crochet, chain 1, and I'll see you for row 2. Okay, so for row 2, we're going to do my favorite stitch. If you've watched my other videos, you know I love this stitch. It's the half double crochet third loop. And I'm sure most of y'all know how to do that, but I'll show you anyway. So normally you would just do a half double crochet just through that part. The third loop, if you pull it towards you, here's the regular, V that you go under. If you pull it towards you, this right here is the third loop. It's behind the V. And the first couple of times, if you've never done it, it might be a little hard to find, but then once you do, it just actually almost pops up. So you just go into that third loop and do your half double crochet. Again, here's the regular stitch where you would go just underneath that V. Pull it towards you a little bit, and there's that third loop. Just like that. Here's that third loop. It's just right behind the V. So each stitch around in this row, we're going to do the half double crochet third loop. It gives it, you can already start to tell a little bit, it gives it a little bit of a raised edge from the stitch below, just a tiny little bit of texture. So every stitch around, again for me it's 31, do your half double crochet third loop. When you finish, there you can see that ridge a little better. I love it. When you get all the way around, half double crochet third loop, slip stitch to join in this first stitch here, and we'll go to row 3, which is another super simple row, and I'll see you then for row 3. Okay, so we just finished our half double crochet third loop row, and you can really see how it creates that little bit of texture right there. So this is row 3, and we're going to repeat row 1, which is simply a regular half double crochet in each stitch around. So another very easy row. Every stitch will have a regular half double crochet. When you get to the end of row 3, like in all of our other ones, you'll slip stitch to join in this first half double crochet. Then the next couple of rows, 4, 5, maybe 6, will be the reason why we have to have these stitch counts of multiples of 4 plus 3, and they are the rows that I think really give this pattern a special look. And they'll have a stitch that maybe you haven't done before. It was actually kind of new to me, and it's very beautiful. But that'll start in row 4. So row 3, half double crochet each stitch around, slip stitch to join in this first half double crochet, chain 1, and I'll see you for row 4. Okay, we're on row 4, and this is where we're going to do that sideways double crochet puff stitch. You do it kind of like a puff stitch, but it doesn't really puff like a puff stitch, so I'm not sure where the name came from. Anyway, this row, when we're doing a sideways puff stitch, you start with the chain 3. I already had 1 chain from the last row, so I just did 2 more, but you need a total of 3 chains at the beginning of this stitch. So some of y'all may know how to do this one. I had only heard of it a couple of months ago. It's very simple though. You just yarn over, grab your yarn, you pull through 2. You do it again. You yarn over, pull up your yarn, pull through 2. Do that one more time. Yarn over, back in that same stitch, pull through 2. So now you've got 4 loops on your hook. Pull through all 4. Then for the sequence, we do that stitch, then we'll skip the next 2 stitches. So skip this one and that one, and then in the third one, you do a slip stitch. And then you repeat it. You'll do a chain 3, and then you repeat the puff stitch, the sideways puff stitch. Pull through 2, yarn over, bring it up, pull through 2. Yarn over, third time, pull it up, pull through 2. You got 4 loops, pull through all 4. Skip the next 2 stitches, do a slip stitch, chain 3, and do it again. So that'll be our sequence all the way around this row. You chain 3, you do the sideways puff stitch, skip the next 2 stitches, slip stitch into that third, chain 3 and do it again. Now this row ends when you get to the end, and I'll pick you up and show you the end. But at the end, we'll just slip stitch. We'll do a puff stitch, skip 2, and slip stitch and end it there. And then join with this chain. But I'll pick you up at the end of this row and show you how we do that. So chain 3, do your puff stitch, skip 2 spaces, and slip stitch into that 3rd stitch and do it again. So I'll see you at the end and show you how we end our sideways double crochet puff stitch row. See you then. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my row 4 where we're doing these pretty sideways double crochet puff stitches. So I'm at the end, near the end, and I did a slip stitch and my chain 3. So this will be my last of the sideways puff stitch. So 3 times, you yarn over, pull it up, and pull through 2. And then after that 3rd time, you have your 4 loops and you pull them through. All right, so we have 3 spaces left. We'll skip those 2 like we have been doing, skip those. And our final stitch, we'll just do the slip stitch. Now we'll slip stitch to join in this, you know, we did the chain 3 at the beginning. We're gonna slip stitch to join in that first chain right there. Go ahead and chain 1. So that's our first sideways double crochet puff stitch row. I think it's just a pretty stitch. Okay, we're gonna move on to row 5 where we're gonna kind of go over the top of our puffs and make a pretty little arch on top of it. So I'll see you for row 5. Okay, we're on row 5. We just finished our sideways double crochet puff stitch row. And this row, we're gonna do half double crochets and chain stitches. And what we're gonna do is a half double crochet, chain over these little puff stitches, and then a half double crochet in the slip stitch stitch between the 2 puff stitches. So we'll start with a regular half double crochet in that same stitch that you joined in, like that. My yarn is raveling on me. I'm not sure why. I wonder if y'all can tell that it's raveling. Anyway, half double crochet, then you'll do a chain 2. We'll go over our puff stitch and do another half double crochet in this slip stitch area between the 2 puff stitches. Regular half double crochet. Chain 2. Do another half double crochet in that slip stitch area from the previous row. Chain 2, we'll do this all the way around. Half double crochet in this space between your 2 puff stitches from row 4. I hope that makes sense. And when you wear the glove, it creates this pretty little arch above your puff stitch. It looks very Greek to me or something. I don't know. I think this is just a really pretty combination. Anyway, that's our sequence for row 5. Chain 2, half double crochet in that slip stitch between your puff stitches all the way around. Chain 2, half double crochet. Chain 2, half double crochet. We end this row, let's see, how do we end this row? Same with the complete thing. We'll half double crochet, chain 2, and we'll half double crochet in this final slip stitch area. Slip stitch to join in your first half double crochet. I'll pick you up at the end just to make sure our stitch counts are coming out right. See you then. Okay, I'm near the end of my row 5. I've got 2 puff stitches left from the previous row. And I just did a half double crochet in that slip stitch and chain 2. So I'll do a half double crochet in between those final 2 puff stitches, chain 2, and then remember when we finished the puff stitch row, we ended with a slip stitch, which should be right here. So you'll do your final half double crochet in that last slip stitch from the previous row, and that should keep your stitch count at your multiple of 4 plus 3. That kept mine at 31. Then we slip stitch to join here in this very first half double crochet that we did at the beginning of our row. Go ahead and chain 1. So that's row 5 with our little arches above our above our puff stitch. That's row 5. All right, I'll see you for row 6. Okay, row 6. Row 6 will be another row of nothing but half double crochet, but we're having to deal with these chain 2 spaces. So all you do, chain 1 if you haven't already, half double crochet in your first stitch where you joined. Now we have our chain 2 space. We're going to place 2 half double crochets around that chain 2 space, like that. Then we'll do a half double crochet in the half double crochet stitch from the previous row. If you kind of pull it apart, you'll be able to see the stitch. It's sort of to the left of the post. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to know where to put it, but if you pull it apart, you can see it. Then here's our chain 2 space again. Put 2 half double crochets in each of our chain 2 spaces, just like that. Then half double crochet in our stitch from the previous row. Have to kind of work it in there. 2 half double crochets in our chain 2 area. We'll repeat that all the way around. At the end, what do we do at the end? I keep forgetting what we do at the end. Okay, at the end, there's a chain 2 space at the end, and then that last half double crochet will end with a half double crochet in our final stitch. I hope that makes sense. So the half double crochet, 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 stitch, and when you get to the end, it'll be exactly that. Half double crochet, 2 around the chain 2 stitch, and a half double crochet in your final stitch. Slip stitch to join, and I'll see you for row 7. Okay, we're on row 7, and we just finished a 3-row sequins with these sideways puff stitches. So we do the sideways puff stitch, then these pretty little arches over the top of them, and then we just did a row of half double crochet, kind of connecting everything back together. So row 7, every stitch will be half double crochet third loop, just like we've done before. Sometimes the very first stitch there is kind of hard to find the third loop. And if you can't, just throw a regular half double crochet in it. It's not going to make any difference at all. It's there on that first stitch, but sometimes it's just kind of hard to find. So half double crochet, third loop, each stitch around for row 7. Slip stitch to join in that first half double crochet, and I'll see you for row 8. Okay, we're already on row 8, and we've actually started repeating what we started off with. We did a half double crochet and then a half double crochet third loop, and now we're doing another row of half double crochet. So row 8 is just simply half double crochet each stitch around. That'll be followed by this sequence again of the puff stitch, the arches, and then this one. But we're going to get into our thumb slit row, so it'll be a little bit different. But row 8, super simple, half double crochet each stitch around. When you get to the end, slip stitch to join in this first half double crochet, chain 1, and I'll pick you up for row 9. Okay, row 9 is a repeat of our sideways double crochet puff stitch row. So I'll just go over it again real quickly because we've already done it. Start the row with the chain 3. Already had my chain 1. So start the row with the chain 3. Then you kind of get into a cadence with this stitch, I think. It's just yarn over, pull it up, pull through 2, yarn over, pull it up, pull through 2, yarn over, pull it up, pull through 2, pull through all 4. Skip the next 2, slip stitch into that third one, chain 3, do it again. So just like our previous row, you have a chain 3, you do this sideways puff stitch row where you're just pulling through two, pulling through two, pulling through two, and then pulling through all four. We're going to do that all the way around. And just like before, when we get to the end, excuse me, you'll do your puff stitch, you'll skip two and slip stitch into this final stitch, just the slip stitch, not the chain three. So puff stitch, skip two, slip stitch, join into that first chain. Now, we've got one more row of the arches, and then we'll do our thumb slit row. So the sideways puff stitch, chain three, sideways puff stitch, skip two, slip stitch into that third one, chain three, do it again, all the way around, end with a slip stitch, join in that first chain, just like we did before. Okay, so I'll see you back for row 10. Okay, we're on row 10. We just finished our second time we've done this sideways double crochet puff stitch row. So this time we're going to do this arches row again, where we do the half double crochet, chain two, and then half double crochet in the stitch between the puff stitches, just like we did before. Start with the half double crochet. We'll chain two, which will take us across our puff stitch. We're going to put our next half double crochet in that slip stitch like before. You know, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, which is 90% of the yarn that I use, and I love it, and I'm sure most of y'all do too. But wow, this skein, for whatever reason, is just fraying like mad, and I don't think I've ever had that happen before. I meant to tell y'all earlier, this color is called Medium Sage, and I think it's a beautiful color for fall, and they also have a light sage that's just a little bit lighter than this, and they're both beautiful, but wow, this is fraying like crazy on me. So anyway, half double crochet, chain two, half double crochet in that stitch between your puff stitches all the way around. We'll end with the entire sequence. Half double crochet, chain two over this puff stitch, and then end with a half double crochet in this last stitch. Join in your first half double crochet, and then we're going to do our thumb row for row 11. See you for that. Okay, this is row 11, and it's our thumb slit row. A lot of times my glove patterns have an actual like crocheted thumb area to the side, but this one, it just didn't look right. So we're going to do just a little slit for our thumb. And it doesn't matter, it works both for the left hand and the right hand. You won't have to change up, you know, how you do it. It just somehow works for both. So we're going to do the same as we did here before with the half double crochet, then the two half double crochets in the chain two space, half double crochet in that space, half double crochet around the two chain two, but we got to do our thumb. So we'll start off with a half double crochet, two half double crochets in this chain two space, one and two, then a half double crochet in this little connecting one from before. So that's 4 stitches. The first half double crochet, 2 around the chain 2 space, and 1 more. Then for our thumb slit, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have to skip 5. So we skip that chain 2, that half double crochet, and that chain 2. We'll resume our sequence in this next half double crochet space. So you chain 5, skip the next 2 chain 2 spaces, and resume in this half double crochet space, which is where my yarn frayed on me last row. Then we just pick it back up. 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 space, just like before, and we'll continue this all the way around. Half double crochet in this space between in between the arches. Sometimes it's a little wonky trying to get it in that space. So continue that all the way around. Half double crochet, 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 spaces, half double crochet in the next one, and we'll end it with that same sequence. Half double crochet, 2 around the chain, end with your half double crochet. Slip stitch to join into your first half double crochet space right there. All right, and then I'll join you for row 12 where we kind of complete our thumb slit row. See you then. Okay, we're on row 12, which is going to be another one of our half double crochet third loop rows that makes our nice little ridge, but we have to deal with this chain space. And we'll just do regular half double crochets around that. So half double crochet third loop, again, if you can't find it in that first one, and sometimes it's just hard to find, but there it is. So the first 4 are going to be regular half double crochet third loop, since we did our 4 half double crochets before our chains earlier. So this is the third half double crochet third loop and 4th. Now we're at our thumb slit with the chains, and that was 5. We chained 5 and skipped 5. So let's do 5 regular half double crochets around this chain 5 space. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and now we will pick up again with our half double crochet third loop. So right here, pick right back up with your half double crochet third loop. And we'll finish out the row, the remaining stitches, half double crochet third loop. When you get to the end, we'll slip stitch to join in that first half double crochet. And we've only got, let's see, I think 4 more rows to go. So the first 4 stitches are half double crochet third loop. Then you do 5 regular half double crochets around this chain 5 space. Then pick up with your half double crochet third loop when you get to the end of the chain. Continue with the third loop all the way around, slip stitch to join in that final stitch. And I'll pick you up for 13. See you then. Okay, so we got through our thumb slit row. Everything's good. Now we're on row 13. We're going to be repeating some of our other rows before. Super simple. I think we deserve a simple row. Just regular half double crochet each stitch around. Now these last few rows, because we are closing in on the end, I'm probably going to go through pretty quickly because we've done every one of them before, so it'll be really straightforward. Row 13, which is what we're on, is simply a half double crochet, regular half double crochet in each stitch around. When you finish, slip stitch to join in this first half double crochet, chain 1, and then we'll go into row 14, which will be our sideways puff stitch row again. So half double crochet all the way around, slip stitch to join in that first half double crochet, and I'll see you for 14. Okay, we're already on row 14, and this is the sideways double crochet puff stitch row. We've already done it twice, so I don't really need to show you. I'll just go through the first sequence. Start with the chain 3, do the sideways puff stitch row, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through all 4. Skip the next 2, slip stitch into that third one, chain 3, and do it again. We'll do this all the way around. Same as before, when you end, you'll have your sideways puff stitch row. You'll skip the next 2 and you'll slip stitch, only a slip stitch into this final stitch. No slip stitch, chain 3, just a slip stitch. Then you'll join into this first chain. So sideways puff stitch, chain 3, sideways puff stitch, skip 2, slip stitch into the third, do it again all the way around, and I'll pick you up for row 15. Okay, row 15, we just have 3 rows to go, and they're going to be easy. So this is our row where we do our half double crochet and then our chain 2 over our puff stitch. So half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet into that space between the 2 puff stitches, 2 chains over the puff stitch, half double crochet in that space between, just like we've done before. Chain 2, do it again. We'll do that all the way around. You finish with a full sequence of this, a half double crochet, a chain 2, and then a half double crochet in this final stitch. Slip stitch to join in that first half double crochet. We'll come back for our final 2 rows. Okay, this is row 16. We only have one more row to go after this. And this is the same as we've done before. We'll have a half double crochet in our first, it's half double crochet all the way around, but half double crochet in our first stitch. Then we have our chain 2 space. So we put our 2 half double crochets around this chain 2 space, just like before. Then with a half double crochet in this space between the chain 2 spaces, just like we've done previously. 2 more half double crochets in this chain 2 space all the way around. We end the row with the full sequence, half double crochet, 2 in this chain 2 space, finish with the half double crochet in this final space, slip stitch to join with your first half double crochet, and I'll see you back for row 17, which is our last row. See you then. Okay, we are on our final row, row 17, and this time we're going to be doing a single crochet third loop instead of a half double crochet third loop. It's done the exact same way. You just put it through that third loop, but you just work a single crochet instead of a half double crochet. So same concept, just single crochet instead of half double crochet. So a single crochet third loop all the way around. When you finish, slip stitch to join in your very first single crochet, and we will be finished. So single crochet third loop, just like the half double crochet third loop, except single crochet. Each stitch around, slip stitch to join, and we will be done. So I'll see you at the end. All right, here's the finished glove. I think it turned out great. It's got our little, the sideways puff stitch rows. We did that 3 times. Each one of them has the little arches. You pull it apart and kind of see through it. You see that? And then we have our 3 rows of the half double crochet third loop, which gives it a nice bit of texture and sort of separates these sections. And then I like the top with the single crochet back loop or third loop. It just gives it a nice finished edge. Here's our little thumb slit in the back, our stretchy cuff. So there's the glove. I think it turned out really, really nice. Hope you enjoyed doing this tutorial with me as much as I enjoyed showing you how to do it. Again, thank you for joining me. If you like the tutorial, please hit the like button and share it with all of your crochet friends. Also, consider subscribing to the channel so you'll always be notified when the next tutorial is posted. Until then, happy hooking!